So over my 6 years of doing sales, I've learned 3 key principles that if you apply them tomorrow will increase your sales dramatically when pitching your product or service. Now, I've done multiple millions of dollars of sales, and when I first started, I definitely did not implement these things. And once I started to do this after like 4 or 5 months, and then started to master it after 12 months, this dramatically increased my sales from 20% close rates to 35, sometimes even 50%, which generated, like I said, millions of dollars. Now, these are things that you can change tomorrow. It may take a bit more time to master it, but these are simple things that you can add and change. It's not fundamental skills. They are just simple psychology and also practices that have worked for many, many, many years. So principle 1. Always keep the frame and keep control. Now, this is a really important part. This is almost one of the most important things. In life, alphas do not buy from betas. Basically, those who are in control or have the perceived control are the ones that are the people that can close. And it's simple. Like if you think about the world in every aspect of the world, there is someone that's in control and there's someone that's not. If you think about the president of the US, he has the most alpha status of anyone. No one can tell him what to do, okay? And then a beta trying to close the president is it's an extreme example, but it is the most prolific example I can give. When you are doing sales, you have to be the alpha. If you are the beta, you're going to struggle, okay? Now, this is a very easy thing to screw up, but it's also a very easy thing to get right. And this starts from as soon as they get onto the phone call. So yes, you do a quick rapport, not to over egg it too much. Too many people, go for minutes on rapport, and it's just a waste of time. A really nice framework that I like to use is just simply setting the scene, and we call this the upfront contract. Now, it goes a little bit like this, okay? So let's say we're on the call. I'll go, hey, Mr. Prospect, I've only got about 30 minutes, so do you mind if we get straight into it? Cool, great, yada, yada, all the little talk. Now, I really appreciate you getting on this call. So what we're going to do on this call is, first of all, I need to understand how we can potentially help yourself, because we may not be able to. So what I need to do is ask specific questions about how the XYZ company is working, or what your product is currently, or things that are causing you issues right now. From there, I'm going to be able to listen. I'm going to ask some more questions to really get to know your business. And then if I feel like it is a good fit and I feel like we can help you, then what I'm going to do is talk about how XYZ company can help you fix X problem. How's that sound? Great. Now, if that works, then at the end of this call, we'll make a decision of if we're going to move forward or if this is not a good fit. Sound good? Sound good. Cool. So not perfect, but that is like an example of how you should be framing your first interaction with the person. Now, what this does is basically, this is setting the scene for the whole call. You've taken control and you've told them how your call is going to go, because this is your call. You don't have to sell to this person. It's their privilege to be on the call with you. You're in control. You're telling them that this is how the call is going to go. We're going to find out more about you. Then from there, we're going to find a lot more about how we can help you. And then thus at the end, if we feel like this is a good fit, then we are going to go forward and we are going to then do business together, or we're not. This takes away all the ambiguity. What it also does is relax the person. Humans they don't like to be sold to, okay? Now, they know it's a sales call, but a lot of other people will go into the call and they'll start potentially asking questions or potentially allowing the call to be dictated, and they go straight into that beta trap. And then, like I said before, the person that's getting sold to is controlling the meeting and they're less likely to buy. Now think about this in a competitive space that we're in. Like, your product may be fantastic, but it may have another 5 or 6 variable companies that they can go to. So if you look at the compounding interest of what businesses try to do to get the 1% over their competition, if your sales team or you can't control the frame, you're putting yourself at such a disadvantage. This is something that you can change tomorrow. Take control. Whenever they try to overtake that control again by interrupting the flow, bring them back. Don't allow them to basically dictate the call. And again, this could just be simple things like, hey, just tell me what the price is at certain points. Just go, hey, yeah, definitely, I'm going to tell you the price. It's XYZ, or you can reframe that and say, yeah, definitely, I just need to go through this part here, and I've got a few questions to ask just to determine what product you need, because like I said, I just want to make sure I get the right thing, because we do different things, and then from there we'll talk about pricing at the end. So you're never arguing, but you're also just subtly rejecting without saying that you're rejecting. This is crucial. And like I said, every product's different, but the framework here is important. You need to frame it. You need to stay in control. Don't let them walk over you, because most people will try to, especially if they're an alpha. But it's your call. You're not going to go walk into a doctor's place and then just all of a sudden just not listen to anything they say and just start interrupting them. No, you have an authority there, or they have an authority. So you're going to listen to them. That's how you need to treat your meeting. Respectful, never argue, but it's your meeting. You are in control. This is crucial. Do not make the mistake of being the beta. So the next principle is energy, deliverability, and speed in one. Now, why is this so important? Now, I reflect on myself. I speak extremely fast. Maybe you think I'm speaking really fast right now. This is me probably toned down about 50%. All my life, I've been told I speak stupidly fast, okay? But when you are delivering a pitch and a meeting, you have to control the speed, the momentum, the time. This all goes into that framing aspect. You're basically delivering a story, a narrative when you're doing this. So if you're going too fast, it's hard to keep up and all the information is going out the door. If you're going too slow, it feels awkward. There's a really nice balance, and the energy in your voice needs to be in a good manner as well. Now, again, not everyone is going to do this the same, and I disagree that there is one correct method for all. I know the most introverted people that are the best salespeople and the best closers, because they understand how to control the narrative and how to control the meeting, and they just get it. They take over the meeting, they control it, they deliver it in a really concise way, in a nice flow. The energy is really nice, it's going up and down, and then also the deliverability, the tonality is just fantastic. This is a really important stat. 80% of people pick up on tonality more than the words. So if you're delivering it really depressing, basically, I don't know if you've ever been pitched, but it feels like just depressing. And that's because they're super anxious or super nervous. So it's an exaggerated word, but you're going to pick up on that and you're going to feel instantaneously lower, and it's going to be less exciting. When you pick up the energy and when you pick up the deliverability and the speed to be at a nice level, what happens is that it triggers certain parts of the brain. So Oren Klaff talks about this in Pitch Anything. What this is it's hitting your hot cognition compared to the cold cognition. So when someone sounds like a little bit anxious and not that enforcing and not that sure, it hits cold cognition because the brain starts to go off and drift. And that's a problem, because when you hit the crocodile brain, it's 10 times harder to get them back to the brain that actually does the decision making and the emotions. And the issue there is that you're just going to be stuck into this person that's going, yep, 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 and they're not actually listening. You're just talking to a deaf wall, and that's not ideal. So once you do the tonality the correct way, which is that energy, the nice flow, you're hitting the hot cognition, and this is where the person can really feel engaged, feels excited, feels like this is what they've always wanted. Now, obviously, you have to be pitching correctly and saying the right things and obviously going for the outcome and not pitching the features. However, you need to work on the deliverability. Like we said at the start of this call, these are things that you can work on tomorrow that will get instant impact and massively increase your closing rate and just your pitchability and everything. So this is something that you will need to practice consistently. Record all your calls. Listen back to that. Get others to listen to it. Get other people that may be interested in the product, that may be a friend or already, maybe you pitched to back in the day that you now know. Just get them to honestly listen to this and give yourself feedback. Same with yourself. You may find it really cringe. A lot of people struggle to hear their own voice, okay? And that is normal. I used to be like that. Now I really enjoy it. It's really weird. It's just, I think once you get used to it, you're always trying to critique yourself. But listen to it and just work on the deliverability. Like I said, 80% of it is in the tonality and the other 20% is in the words. So if you nail that and then you get the script correct, you're fantastic. You're already one step there. But compared to a lot of businesses that just get a script and say, read that, and then go off, and that's going to work. Yes, a script is very important. Initially, you need to work off the script and understand and memorize that, because you're going to sound robotic. Reading on a script does not get long-term results if you're just having to read off it. Once you then have that script down pat, you understand the words, and you're working on the tonality, which normally comes after you understand the words, because that makes sense. You feel more comfortable. That is when you become a B, or you go from a B closer or pitcher to an A closer, a pitcher. It is that important. And these are the 1% of things that you can work on tomorrow. There's no excuse for it. It does not take time. That will instantly impact your results and get you that next step up, and also close you more deals, which could be, depending on your business, hundreds, if not millions of dollars. So lucky last is number 3, which is the 20-minute window and the arc. Now, this is basically defining how much attention your prospect or your potential client can have. Now, when I talk about the 20-minute arc, I just want to make sure that we are on the same page. I'm not talking about the whole call length. That's different. People love talking about themselves. So if in the first 10 to 15 minutes, you're in the fact-finding phase, which is basically where you're finding out all the information that you're going to then use to help close or help pitch your product, because you're finding out the problems, or where they may need help, or what they've failed in the past, or their desired outcome that they're wanting, or their emotional strings or emotional pulls that they need. This is crucial. People love talking about themselves. That's why we want them to start the meeting talking about themselves, because it makes them feel more relaxed. So not referring to that, what we're talking about is the 20-minute max of you pitching your product. Now, some people may say out there, you should need to pitch for 20 minutes. And they're correct, depending on the service. But if we're talking about, let's say, info businesses, or let's talk about technology where they have a product, it's crucial that you're pitching for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Like, if you think about this video right now, it's over 14 minutes long. And we're just talking about 2 key principles of closing and pitching. So you can tell that time does go a little bit longer. However, the human can only hear 20 minutes in one sitting, okay? Any longer, and you're going straight into cold cognition. They start to zone out and they start to switch off. And why that's super critical is that if you're getting to the key points towards the end of the call, then the issue is that they're not going to remember it. So all this information, this build up, this hot cognition, basically like getting that pull into the big idea. So you're not just going straight in and telling them the big idea. You give the overview, and then you're giving them all the desired outcome and all the excitement within. And then we're coming into the closing phase towards the end of the meeting, where we want them at peak hot cognition. We don't want them to sound adrift into that cold cognition where they've already zoned out, they've forgotten what the call is, they're thinking about what burger they should have after this meeting. That's literally what people think. It is quick. It's quickly lost, okay? And going back to that first principle, the control can be lost here as well. You know, if you say you've had 30 minutes or 35 minutes and you're pitching for another 25 minutes or going 10 minutes over, are you really that busy? Do you have control? No, you've lost it again, okay? So this is really, really critical. Now, what I would say about the 20-minute pitch cycle is when you are starting the meeting or when you're starting the pitch, it's high, like I said, it's back to that high energy, and what we're delivering is a narrative, okay? It's a story. So this is why I always like to compare this to acting. If you think of a movie length, okay, you understand that there's a certain time frame that you go over that, it starts to become a little bit more exhausting. Now, some movies, of course, can go for 3 hours plus, like The Irishman or The Gentleman, I think it is. But most movies fit around that 2-hour window, okay? Because they understand the attention, and they also understand how much humans can basically recall. So this is what you need to think about when you're doing it. Design and structure your meeting so you're sticking to a time frame. 30 minutes is a good sweet spot. Maybe it's 45 minutes because you want to break it into 15-minute fact find, 20 minutes of you doing a pitch, and then 10 minutes for Q&A and questions at the end. And basically the Q&A is allowing you then to get in and close them, okay? So do not be one of those people that talks for 40 minutes. I know for a fact if you got me on a meeting and I went for 40 minutes where you're just talking at me, I will remember the first 2 minutes, probably the last couple of minutes, and normally what happens is that 10 minute in the middle, or that 20 minutes or 25 minutes, whatever the math is, then I'm going to lose all of that. So how am I supposed to buy your product, okay? Now, Correction, again, like I said, you may not need to pitch for 20 minutes. And this is important. You need to know your business. If you're doing a consulting service, or you may have a marketing service where you're finding that their problem is they need more leads and you can easily explain your process for 5 minutes, that's fine. But what you want to make sure then is you then fit in that 20 minutes of basically having questions in there. So you could do 10 minutes of you talking about your product and then 10 minutes of them finding out questions, or you building out their marketing plan on the call with them so that they already have they know the exactly personalized design that you're going to give them, and then you can close them. So it can change. Like I said, you sometimes may just be talking at them for 20 minutes, or you could be doing 10 minutes to break down how your service works and the dream outcome. And then you could then talk about how we're going to do it for your business in that 10 minutes, which is then really personalized to them. And I've had this happen to me before and it was absolutely brilliant. However, it went for 50 minutes and I couldn't remember what the hell they talked about. I literally was like, wow, this is amazing, but how do they do this? And what do they do? And at the end of the call, I was like, oh, I need to think about this because there's so much information that I actually couldn't make a decision because I was so confused. I hit cold cognition. I was overthinking things. I wasn't at that point of, oh my God, let's get going. So to summarize, keep it precise. It is an art form. You need to keep it to that 20 minutes. Do not hit cold cognition. Keep that flow going. There's a lot that can go into the pitch structure, which I will create a video on how to actually break down a pitch section by section to keep them interactive and to get the best conversion, because I worked on this for a while and like I said, it generated multiple millions of pounds generating this. But in the meantime, if you want to know more about that, do go read Oren Klaff's book, Pitch Anything. It is incredible. A lot of these 3 points, some of the stuff I learned from that and then obviously applied it, and it is amazing. So they're the 3 points. I hope that helps. Like I said, these are not the only 3 points that you need to do to hit, that 35% conversion rate, or obviously close more deals. But these are the things that you can do tomorrow to make instant impact into your business when you're pitching, okay? So I hope this has helped. Like I said, there's gonna be more stuff like this coming. Make sure to give me a follow, subscribe down below. Like I said, I'm gonna be posting a lot more content like this on how you can increase your sales in your business, how to create your close rate, how to generate more leads, and then obviously sharing my story of how we're growing a business to multiple millions of pounds. Not yet, but we're pushing there. And I'm looking forward to doing more content like this.